I think that's what a lot of Americans are wondering. How did we get here? And many may not be aware of just how serious an issue the attack on gender really is. The transgender movement overall is an assault on the very foundation of not only civilization, but life itself. Male and female coming together, having babies, that is the basic building block of the entire universe. This movement ultimately seeks to destroy that reality. Now, someone is going to watch this show, and I can guarantee they will accuse me of lacking compassion for transgender people. We have to get over people's feelings, mine or yours, and listen to what we're talking about. I'm not talking about individuals, and I'm not being dismissive of gender dysphoria. It's something that I don't personally understand because I've never experienced it in my life or with anybody that I know. But I am aware enough and empathetic enough to see, my gosh, I can't imagine being in that position. I understand it can be painful and it is a very complicated struggle. But can we pull back and look culturally at what is happening? We're now at the point when even questioning transgenderism is off limits, even and especially if it involves children. That speaks volumes about the power of this movement and the power brokers who are driving it. And that brings up another thing about this movement. It is anti-freedom, period. Increasingly, this is not a live and let live situation. From media to sports to education to government, everything. This movement is working to shoehorn acceptance of whatever it believes and whatever it says today into every corner of society. But along with that is the massive effort to muzzle anyone who opposes or questions for discrimination purposes. The internal organizations and the organizations here in the country and externally, international, local school boards, that grip is getting tighter and tighter every day. In theory, after the 2015 Supreme Court decision legalizing gay marriage, shouldn't we have seen things? This is what the goal was. Everything else, slippery slope, that's crazy. You would expect that there would have been a celebration and a wind down of LGBT activism. But there wasn't. That decision was a major landmark, but it was not the end goal of the movement. Again, separate people from the movement and the money. Over the last 7 years since the decision, the goalposts keep moving with a noticeable increased focus on transgenderism. Now, why are the goalposts being moved like that? Well, it's a combination of a couple of things. First, gender ideology. Gender ideology is not new. We just haven't paid attention to it. It has been growing in the petri dish of academia for decades, and it grew right out of Marxism, radical feminism, and the gay liberation movement. Its goal is dismantling the nuclear family, altering or silencing religious belief, mainly Christianity, and eliminating the outdated distinctions of male and female. Now, yes, I'm an old, but when did that become outdated universally? When did male and female suddenly go out of fashion? Did it happen in the animal kingdom? Attorney Mary Rice Hassan, she's from the Ethics and Public Policy Center. She's an expert on the dangers of gender ideology, and she describes the movement as working towards a utopia where, quote, every individual from childhood on would be free to self-identify beyond the male-female binary and free to engage in consensual sexual activity unrestricted by sex, gender, number of persons, marital status, or even age, quote, post-puberty. That line will be deleted soon, I'm sure. The second factor that has moved the goalposts for the LGBT movement is money. Gender ideology would not get anywhere without massively deep pockets. And those deep pockets require a constant re-upping of the stakes to motivate the fundraising. So just 6 months after Obergefell versus Hodges decision, several prominent nonprofits announced a 5-year initiative and $20 million in donations to promote and support the next step, transgenderism. During the first year after the Supreme Court decision on gay marriage, overall funding for transgender issues reached a record high of $16.8 million, increasing 22% over the previous year. Leading the charge for that 5-year, $20 million initiative was the Arcus Foundation. Now, I've got a chalkboard and everything else coming, so just keep track as much as you can. The Arcus Foundation pledged $15 million for transgender causes. Arcus was started in the year 2000 by a guy named John Stryker. He's one of the deepest pockets in this movement. He's heir to the Stryker Corporation fortune, a medical supply company based in Michigan. Arcus is now the largest funder of LGBT causes in the U.S. and one of the largest in the world. One of the Arcus Foundation's many sponsorships is a group called Outright Action International. Now, it organized the first global transgender conference in 2010. From that effort, Outright became the only LGBT organization with, quote, consultative status and permanent presence at the United Nations headquarters. Oh, good. So they're consulting. This is great. At the UN, Outright says, quote, it acts as a watchdog on all 193 world governments. Did you hire them to be the police? Even more curious is Outright's partnership with a project with the World Economic Forum's Center for New Economy and Society. Just a creepy way of saying Great Reset, I think. Okay. So the goal of the collaboration is to pressure companies to commit to the United Nations Standard of Conduct for Business. Now, these standards for business include establishing, and I quote, mechanisms to monitor and communicate about their compliance with human rights standards. And businesses must engage in, quote, public advocacy for LGBT causes, including challenging abusive government actions, end quote. Is the Disney thing making sense? This is why the Walt Disney Corporation, for example, has been challenging Florida's parental rights in education bill. Another one of the largest LGBT nonprofits in the United States is the Gill Foundation. It was started by left-wing megadonor Tim Gill. Since the mid-1990s, Gill has spent over $360 million advancing the LGBT agenda. Right after gay marriage was legalized in 2015, Gill said, let's set up the slip and slide. Gill vowed to continue legal fights all over the U.S., saying, quote, we're going into the hardest states in the country. We're going to, and I'm quoting, punish the wicked. There is no sense in which the job is ever done. Oh my gosh, so we have a Grand Inquisitor now. In 2019, he did an interview with Gill's husband, Scott Miller. He said, quote, we're actually really quiet people, but excuse the language, if you F around with the LGBT community, you will face Tim Gill's wrath. Again, did you hire him to be a police officer? To watch your thoughts, monitor your thoughts, oversee the things at your business, impact your life at all? Because I didn't vote for him. Part of Gill's effort is to, quote, punish the wicked, and its funding is coming along with his close friend, John Stryker, and it is something they've set up together called the Proteus Fund. The Proteus Fund fights against religious exemptions related to both LGBT issues and abortion. Do you remember the case? Jack Phillips, the Masterpiece cake shop baker from Colorado? Yeah, that was Proteus. They helped fund both the ACLU, which took the lead in the case against Phillips, and they funded another legal group that filed an amicus brief with the Supreme Court in the Masterpiece Cake Shop case. Two guys. They got it done. Now, this is the classy side note. Proteus also funds the Southern Poverty Law Center, which still designates the conservative legal group that defunded Jack Phillips as a hate group. Proteus Fund embodies Tim Gill's Punish the Wicked mission in all of its devotion to fighting all religious exemptions,